pyramid found in back garden. Egyptian family kidnap girl. Girl gets possessed and mummified. Girl returns home after 8 years. Family save girl. The end. All shock and no story. It seems like the creators of this film just wanted to outgross each other. I much preferred Blumhouse's earlier work that dealt with more human and more grounded stories, more in the psychological horror, whereas this dealt with more supernatural, historical, and mystical worlds. The acting was terrible, the story was weak, and the family was way too perfect. And also, what doctor in their right mind would release a traumatized person after just a day? Come on now. Totally unbelievable. So Lee Cronin's The Mummy starts off with an Egyptian family returning home to Cairo, only to find that their pet bird is basically bleeding out and their children are hysterical, so they calm them down, be like, it's all right, we've got this. So the parents go to their back garden and lo and behold, there's a pyramid. They go into the pyramid, then they find that in the pyramid there's a tomb. In the tomb there's also a sarcophagus, and they open it in the hopes of being able to heal this bird. In the meantime, there is an American family living in Cairo. The father, Charlie, is working as a news reporter and working the areas around Cairo and doing news stories around the region, and is waiting for a job to be a news reporter in America. And he gets the call. And he's like, right, cool, we're now moving to America. It's not until his daughter gets kidnapped, his whole life gets turned completely upside down and is now living with a missing child and has to go to the police and has to investigate and find out what's happened. And it's made even worse that she was kidnapped in their back garden. And so the police suspect that the family are responsible, but in fact, no, they're not. And the case is closed. But 8 years later, now living in America, Charlie and his family, and they are working and living a normal life and working behind the scenes for a news station, and life seems to be going very well until they get the call that now, after 8 years, they have found their daughter Katie, and she has been forever changed by the experience. Completely traumatized, completely different person, totally non-existent personality, just a complete blank slate, it seems. It's like everything about her has completely gone. And so the story starts off with them trying to live and figure out what has happened to her. So like I said at the start of the film, it basically is all shock and no story. The problem I have with it is, it's like each moment is just outgrossing the next, and you can really sense that they really went for the cheap scares, the big thrills, and all the blood, the guts, the gore. There are some genuinely gruesome moments, like a scene where they're peeling off toenails and teeth, and anything to do with that, I'm just like, no, I'm out. No, no thanks. Too much for me. It just makes me cringe, and not in a good way. And it seems like they're doing it just for pure shock value. In my opinion, I feel story trumps shock every single time. If I were to have written this film, I would have done something completely different. Like, you have no idea where or how this pyramid came to be in their back garden. You don't know how they even discovered it in the first place. You don't even know if they even knew about it before they even went in there in the first scene. There's no why or how, or it just is. It's a pyramid, there's a tomb, it has magic powers, and away we go. And there's a lot of that in this film. There's no explanation. It's like when Katie returns, like there's no rhyme or reason for her to be able to levitate or take over people's minds or just have these weird powers that she's magically returned with after 8 years. And You don't really go too heavy into the story, what happened to her in those 8 years. There's just a brief moment where they show a video of like them sacrificing her over the tomb from the start, and then that's it. It's just like, oh, it's just there to serve the plot. There's no, it's just like, oh, I don't. It's really tough to really understand this film and why the creators made the choices that they did. The acting was awful. There was a scene where they're in the police station and the police are interrogating the family and accusing them of murdering their child and covering it up as a kidnapping or a missing persons case. And the way that the father basically is outraged by the accusations is like felt very stale and very monotonous. I felt no emotion from it at all whatsoever. And it just made me think like they had all this money, all this budget, and all this talent, or not talent in this case, all this script and direction and all that, and they come out of this. And you're sitting there wondering why. Why have I come to see this horror film? The least they could do is act and know their lines and know the story and know the text, and I'm good. That's all. That's all I need. It's a low bar. It is a low bar. Also, I found that at the end, why on earth is there a storm rolling around the house? Oh, it's dramatic. Where'd it come from? Came out of bloody nowhere. I just hate it when horror films do this, where they add weather elements to it just to make it more dynamic and more, sort of entertaining instead of just like people talking or delving more into the story or, you know, talking about their character arcs and building it up that way, building tension, building psychological horror instead of like, here it is. It's just really frustrating when films do this. It's like there's a lot of wrong things I found about this film, and half of it as well was an Egyptian. I'm reading the film. Like, I get you want to be multilingual, and you get you want to include other countries and speak the language the film is set in and all that sort of stuff. But this is a Western film. This isn't a foreign language film. Yeah, it's if you wanted to do that, mix it in well and don't just have it there for the sake of it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. A lot of this film doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to anyone else, I don't think. Also, it's very unbelievable to me that they think that a doctor would release somebody that has gone through so much trauma, gone through all this stuff over 8 years, only to release them in like a day. Like, come on, who are we kidding here? Health and safety would be all over this. Like, within a second, she'll be in a mental institution. She'll have like psychologists talking to her. They'll have all the physicians and doctors and all analysing at least a year, maybe longer. And that is more of the story I'd rather focus on, is like her recovery and her building herself back up to being a normal person again, if that was at all possible, and then delving more into the supernatural stuff. But no, they just went for the scares, and that's really frustrating. Let me know what you think of the film, and let me know what your favourite horror film and story-driven horror film that you liked in the past few years. And if you, like me, felt like this was more shock value than story value. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you in the next video.